Brasília is the federal capital of Brazil and seat of government of the Federal District. The city is located atop the Brazilian highlands in the country's center-western region. It was founded on April 21, 1960, to serve as the new national capital. Brasília and its metro had a population of 2,556,149 in 2011, making it the fourth most populous city in Brazil. Among major Latin American cities, Brasília has the highest GDP per capita at 61,915 reals. Brasília was planned and developed by Lúcio Costa and Oscar Niemeyer in 1956 in order to move the capital from Rio de Janeiro to a more central location. The landscape architect was Roberto Burle Marx. The city's design divides it into numbered blocks as well as sectors for specified activities, such as the hotel sector, the banking sector and the embassy sector. Brasília was chosen as a UNESCO World Heritage Site due to its modernist architecture and uniquely artistic urban planning. The centers of all three branches of the federal government of Brazil are in Brasília, including the Congress, President, and Supreme Court. The city also hosts 124 foreign embassies. Brasília International Airport connects the capital to all major Brazilian cities and many international destinations, and is the third busiest airport in Brazil. The city has a unique status in Brazil, as it is an administrative division rather than a legal municipality like other cities in Brazil. The name, Brasília, is commonly used as a synonym for the federal district through synecdoche. However, the federal district is composed of 31 administrative regions, only one of which is Brasília proper, with a population of 209,926 in a 2011 survey. Demographic publications generally do not make this distinction and list the population of Brasília as synonymous with the population of the federal district, considering the whole of it as its metropolitan area. The city was one of the main host cities of the 2014 FIFA World Cup. Additionally, Brasília hosted the 2013 FIFA Confederations Cup. History. Background: from 1763 until 1960, Rio de Janeiro was the capital of Brazil. At this time, resources tended to be centered in Brazil's southeast region near Rio de Janeiro. Brasília's geographically central location fostered a more regionally neutral federal capital. An article of the country's first republican constitution dating back to 1891 stated that the capital should be moved from Rio de Janeiro to a place close to the center of the country. The plan was originally conceived in 1827 by José Bonifacio, an advisor to Emperor Pedro I. He presented a plan to the General Assembly of Brazil for a new city called Brasília, with the idea of moving the capital westward from the heavily populated southeastern corridor. The bill was not enacted because Pedro I dissolved the assembly. According to legend, Italian Saint Don Bosco in 1883 had a dream in which he described a futuristic city that roughly fitted Brasília's location. In Brasília today, many references of Bosco, who founded the Salesian order, are found throughout the city, and one church parish in the city bears his name. Construction. Juscelino Kubitschek, President of Brazil from 1956 to 1961, ordered the construction of Brasília, fulfilling the promise of the Constitution and his own political campaign promise. Building Brasília was part of Juscelino's 50 Years of Prosperity in 5 plan. Lúcio Costa won a contest and was the main urban planner in 1957, with 5,550 people competing. Oscar Niemeyer, a close friend, was the chief architect of most public buildings and Roberto Burle Marx was the landscape designer. Brasília was built in 41 months, from 1956 to April 21, 1960, when it was officially inaugurated. Until the 1980s, the governor of the federal district was appointed by the federal government. and the laws of Brasília were issued by the Brazilian Federal Senate. With the Constitution of 1988, Brasília gained the right to elect its governor, and a district assembly was elected to exercise legislative power. The federal district does not have a judicial power of its own. The judicial power which serves the federal district also serves federal territories. Currently, Brazil does not have any territories, therefore, for now the courts serve only cases from the federal district. Geography. Paranoa Lake is a large artificial lake built to increase the amount of water available and the humidity of the region. It has the second largest marina in Brazil, and hosts wakeboarders and windsurfers. Diving can also be practiced, and one of the main attractions is Vila Amari, an old village that is submerged in the lake. This is where the first construction workers of Brasília used to live. Climate. Brasília has a tropical savanna climate according to the Köppen system, with two distinct seasons. The rainy season, from October to April, and a dry season, from May to September. The average temperature is 20.6 degrees Celsius. September, at the end of the dry season, has the highest average maximum temperature, 28.3 degrees Celsius, has major and minor lower maximum average temperature, of 25.1 degrees Celsius and 12.9 degrees Celsius, respectively. Average temperatures from September through March are a consistent 22 degrees Celsius. With 247.4 millimeters. January is the month with the highest rainfall of the year, while June is the lowest, with only 8.7 millimeters. According to Brazilian National Institute of Meteorology, the record low temperature was 1.6 degrees Celsius in July 18, 1975, and the record high was 35.8 degrees Celsius in October 28, 2008. The highest accumulated rainfall in 24 hours was 132.8 millimeters on November 15, 1963. Demographics. According to the 2010 IBGE census, there were 2,469,489 people residing in Brasília and its metropolitan area, of which 1,239,882 were Pardo, 1,084,418, White, 198,072, Black, 41,522, Asian, and 6,128 Amerindian. In 2010, Brasília was ranked the fourth most populous city in Brazil after São Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, and Salvador. In 2010, the city had 474,871 opposite-sex couples and 1,241 same-sex couples. The population of Brasília was 52.2% female and 47.8% male. In the 1960 census there were almost 140,000 residents in the new federal district. By 1970 this figure had grown to 537,000. By 2000 the population of the federal district had surpassed 2 million. The city of Brasília proper was planned for only about 500,000 inhabitants, but its metropolitan area has grown past this figure. From the beginning, the growth of Brasília was greater than original estimates. According to the original plans, Brasília would be a city for government authorities and staff. However, during the construction period, Brazilians from all over the country migrated to Brasília, seeking public and private jobs. At the close of the 20th century, Brasília held the distinction of being the largest city in the world, which had not existed at the beginning of the century. Brasília has one of the highest population growth rates in Brazil, with annual growth of 2.82%, mostly due to internal migration. Brasília's inhabitants include a foreign population of mostly embassy workers as well as large numbers of Brazilian internal migrants. Today, the city has important communities of immigrants and refugees. The city's Human Development Index was 0.936 in 2000, and the city's illiteracy rate was around 4.35%. Education. The Portuguese language is the official national language and the primary language taught in schools. English and Spanish are also part of the official curriculum. The city has 6 international schools: American School of Brasília, Brasília International School, Escola das Nações, Swiss International School, Lycée Français François Mitterrand, and Maple Bear Canadian School. Brasília has 2 universities, 3 university centers, and many private colleges. The main tertiary educational institutions are Universidade de Brasília, University of Brasília, Universidade Católica de Brasília, Catholic University of Brasília, Centro Universitário de Brasília, Centro Universitário Euro-Americano, Centro Universitário do Distrito Federal, Universidade Paulista, and Instituto de Educação Superior de Brasília. Religion. The Cathedral of Brasília, in the capital of the Federative Republic of Brazil, is an expression of the architect Oscar Niemeyer. This concrete-framed hyperboloid structure seems with its glass roof reaching up, open, to the heavens. On the 31st of May 1970, the cathedral's structure was finished, and only the 70 meters diameter of the circular area were visible. Niemeyer's project of Cathedral of Brasília is based in the hyperboloid of revolution, which sections are asymmetric. The hyperboloid structure itself is a result of 16 identical assembled concrete columns. These columns, having hyperbolic section and weighing 90 t, represent 2 hands moving upwards to heaven. The cathedral was dedicated on the 31st of May 1970. Source: IBGE 2010. Politics. Brazil's bicameral National Congress consists of the Senate and the Chamber of Deputies of Brazil. Since the 1960s, the National Congress has been located in Brasília. As with most official buildings throughout the city, it was designed by Oscar Niemeyer in the style of modern Brazilian architecture. The hemisphere to the left is the seat of the Senate and the hemisphere to the right is the seat of the Chamber of Deputies. The Congress also occupies various other surrounding buildings, some connected by tunnels. The National Congress building is located in the middle of the EIXO Monumental, the city's main avenue. In front lies a large lawn and reflecting pool. The building faces the Praça dos Três Poderes, where the Palácio do Planalto and the Supremo Tribunal Federal are located. International relations. Twin towns and sister cities. Brasília is twinned with Abuja, Nigeria; Asunción, Paraguay; Brussels, Belgium; Buenos Aires, Argentina; Gaza City, Palestine; Havana, Cuba; Khartoum, Sudan; Lisbon, Portugal; Luxor, Egypt; Montevideo, Uruguay; Pretoria, South Africa; Santiago, Chile; Tehran, Iran; Vienna, Austria; Washington, D.C., United States; Xi'an, China. Of these, Abuja, Canberra, and Washington, D.C., were likewise cities planned specifically to be their respective countries' seats of government. Cityscape. At the northwestern end of the monumental axis of federal district and municipal buildings, while at the southeastern end, near the middle shore of Lake Paranoa, stand the executive, judicial, and legislative buildings around the Square of Three Powers, the conceptual heart of the city. These and other major structures were designed by Brazilian architect Oscar Niemeyer. In the Square of Three Powers, he created as a focal point the dramatic Congressional Palace, which is composed of 5 parts. Twin administrative towers flanked by a large, white concrete dome and by an equally massive concrete bowl, which is joined to the dome by an underlying, flat-roofed building. A series of low-lying annexes flank both ends. Also in the square are the glass-faced Planalto Palace housing the presidential offices, and the Palace of the Supreme Court. Farther east, on a triangle of land jutting into the lake, is the Palace of the Dawn. Between the federal and civic buildings on the monumental axis is the city's cathedral, considered by many to be Niemeyer's finest achievement. The parabolically shaped structure is characterized by its 16 gracefully curving supports, which join in a circle 115 feet above the floor of the nave. Stretched between the supports are translucent walls of tinted glass. The nave is entered via a subterranean passage rather than conventional doorways. Other notable buildings are Burati Palace, Itar Maritai Palace, the National Theatre, and several foreign embassies that creatively embody features of their national architecture. The Brazilian landscape architect Roberto Burle-Marx designed landmark modernist gardens for some of the principal buildings. Both low-cost and luxury housing were built by the government in the Brasília. The residential zones of the inner city are arranged into superquadras, groups of apartment buildings along with a prescribed number and type of schools, retail stores, and open spaces. At the northern end of Lake Paranoa, separated from the inner city, is a peninsula with many fashionable homes, and a similar city exists on the southern lake shore. Originally, the city planners envisioned extensive public areas along the shores of the artificial lake, but during early development, private clubs, hotels, and upscale residences and restaurants gained footholds around the water. Set well apart from the city are satellite cities, including Gama, Ceilândia, Taguatinga, Núcleo Bandeirante, Sobradinho, and Planaltina. These cities, with the exception of Gama and Sobradinho, were not planned. Monumental civic scale. The city has been both acclaimed and criticized for its use of modernist architecture on a grand scale and for its somewhat utopian city plan. After a visit to Brasília, the French writer Simone de Beauvoir complained that all of its superquadras exuded the same air of elegant monotony, and other observers have equated the city's large open lawns, plazas, and fields to wastelands. As the city has matured, some of these have gained adornments, and many have been improved by landscaping, giving some observers a sense of humanized spaciousness. Although not fully accomplished, the Brasília Utopia has produced a city of relatively high quality of life, in which the citizens live in forested areas with sporting and leisure structure flanked by small commercial areas, bookstores and cafes. The city is famous for its cuisine and efficiency of transit. Even these positive features have sparked controversy, expressed in the nickname Ilha da Fantasia, indicating the sharp contrast between the city and surrounding regions, marked by poverty and disorganization in the cities of the states of Goiás and Minas Gerais, around Brasília. Critics of Brasília's grand scale have characterized it as a modernist Platonic fantasy about the future. Nothing dates faster than people's fantasies about the future. This is what you get when perfectly decent, intelligent, and talented men start thinking in terms of space rather than place, and single rather than multiple meanings. It's what you get when you design for political aspirations rather than real human needs. You get miles of jerry-built Platonic nowhere infested with Volkswagens. This, one may fervently hope, is the last experiment of its kind. The utopian buck stops here. Robert Hughes, The Shock of the New, Episode 4. Trouble in Utopia, Economy. The major roles of construction and of services in Brasília's economy reflect the city's status as a governmental rather than an industrial center. Industries connected with construction, food processing, and furnishings are important, as are those associated with publishing, printing, and computer software. GDP is divided in public administration 54.8%, services 28.7%, industry 10.2%, commerce 6.1%, agribusiness 0.2%. Besides being the political center, Brasília is an important economic center. Brasília has the highest city gross domestic products of 99.5 billion reais, representing 3.76% of the total Brazilian GDP. The main economic activity of the federal capital results from its administrative function. Its industrial planning is studied carefully by the government of the federal district. Being a city registered by UNESCO, the government in Brasília has opted to encourage the development of non-polluting industries such as software, film, video, and gemology among others, with emphasis on environmental preservation and maintaining ecological balance, preserving the city property. According to Mercer's city rankings of cost of living for expatriate employees, Brasília ranks 45th among the most expensive cities in the world in 2012, up from the 70th position in 2010, ranking behind São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro. Services. Government. The public sector is by far the largest employer, accounting for around 40% of the city jobs. Government jobs include all levels, from the federal police to diplomacy, from the Transportation Bureau to the armed forces. Communications. The telephony used to be a state monopoly, and Brasília held the HQ of Telebras, the central state company, one of the enterprises that resulted from the privatization of the system in the 90s. Brasil Telecom keeps its HQ in the city. The official postal service HQ is located in the city as well, as it is the main place of federal government news. It is also notable the activities of TV stations, including the main offices of 4 public networks, the regional offices of 4 major private television networks and a main affiliate of Red TV. Banking and finance, headquarters of the Banco do Brasil and the Caixa Econômica Federal, both controlled by the federal government, and the Banco de Brasília, controlled by the city local government. It is also the site of the headquarters of the central bank, the main government regulatory agency of the financial sector. Entertainment. The shopping malls Conjunto International, Park Shopping, Patio Brasil Shopping, Brasília Shopping, Boulevard Shopping, Taguatinga Shopping, Terrico Shopping, Gilberto Salomeo and Iguatemi Brasília. Information technology, and legal services. Industries in the city include construction, food processing, furniture making, recycling, pharmaceuticals, graphic industries. The main agricultural products produced in the city are coffee, guavas, strawberries, oranges, lemons, papayas, soybeans, and mangoes. It has over 110,000 cows and it exports wood products worldwide. The Federal District, where Brasília is located, has a GDP of 133 reais, 4 billion, about the same as Belarus according to The Economist. Its share of the total Brazilian GDP is about 3.8%. The Federal District has the largest GDP per capita income of Brazil, $25,062, slightly higher than Belarus. The city's plan design included specific areas for almost everything, including accommodation, hotels sectors north and south. New hotel facilities are being developed elsewhere, such as the hotels and tourism sector north, located on the shores of Lake Parana. Brasília has a range of tourist accommodation from inns, pensions and hostels to larger international chain hotels. The city's restaurants cater to a wide range of foods from local and regional Brazilian dishes to international cuisine.